And we are live for our 3 p.m. live stream from Facebook. Just getting started here. If you are on right away, can you throw a like or a comment? Just let me know that this is showing up okay, that you can see the picture, that you can hear me all right. I want to make sure we're looking okay here. And today I'm going to be talking about a prairie in the Redwoods. I'm at Prairie Creek Redwoods State Park in Redwood National and State Park. And I'm going to be talking about why there is a prairie in the middle of the Redwoods. How does this happen? How does it last? How does it not get taken over by these giant, magnificent redwood trees? There we go. I saw first couple likes coming in, first couple viewers. Thank you guys so much for joining us out here in Prairie Creek Redwood State Park, part of Redwood State and National Park. Beautiful rainy day out here. Just got a little break in the rain, so that's perfect for me. I'm gonna stay a little dry and show you guys this beautiful forest. So, really quick, I just want to do the hello, my name is Kyle. I am a park interpretive specialist for California State Parks. And again, today I'm out at Prairie Creek Redwoods State Park, a part of Redwood State and National Park in Northern California, just north of the tiny, tiny town of Orick. So I got our first couple people coming in, saying hello. Thank you guys so much for joining. We really appreciate you guys being here. I just want to recognize too, so many of you guys are doing your part to shelter in place and stay at home. We really appreciate you guys doing that. We're doing these live streams every day at 3 o'clock to try and bring you a little piece of the Redwoods, of the parks you might be missing. Our mission statement for the parks is to provide for the health, inspiration, and education of the public. So trying to take care of a little bit of your health and give you some of that parks you might be missing. Inspire you to give you some great places to come back and provide just a little teensy bit of education on some really cool facts, some of the things that we love about these ecosystems. Also really sorry, the video is going to be a little bit shaky today. I forgot some of my equipment, so please bear with me on that. I'm also going to be walking a little further away from our regular broadcast area because I want to show you guys this prairie that's right in the middle of Prairie Creek Redwoods. It's pretty spectacular. I am walking away from the campfire center where we get our coverage though. So if I do start to cut out or glitch or anything like that, just let me know and I'll start to work my way back this way. So as to not be too hard on your eyes and ears and things like that. So without further ado, I'm going to start walking down this trail here. This is the campfire center I'm at right now. This is kind of the area we do our normal live streams from, right next to Prairie Creek or Prairie Creek Redwoods. It's a really beautiful area. Got some nice, massive old redwoods here, huge trees, hundreds of feet tall. And I'm just going to start walking this way right through the campfire center. We're going to work our way out towards the prairie. And there are prairies out here in the middle of the redwoods, which isn't just an interesting thing to think about, that there's this kind of this place that's naturally devoid of trees right in the middle of the tallest trees in the world. So again, this is the campfire center. This is where our Wi-Fi is the strongest. It's missing you right now. Norma, you say yours isn't working. I'm so sorry. Maybe try refreshing your page. Come on back. It's going to take me a minute to walk over to the prairie, so hopefully you won't miss too much. So yeah, campfire center. Missing you guys. Hopefully we can have some live programs up here again soon. We love giving programs in the amphitheaters like this. Campfires are so much fun. We keep walking up our trail here. It's a beautiful rainy day. We've got our wildflowers starting to come out. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful out here today. I love the rainy days in the Redwoods. Even if it's not raining right at the moment, just everything being kind of covered in that damp layer is amazing. And the way the fog clings in the hills of the Redwoods makes the view from the prairies that much more amazing. So you can see the trees here are starting to clear up a little bit. You can see the ecology is changing a little bit. The trees are starting to be a little bit more spaced out. And here we have predominantly redwoods, but in some prairie ecosystems, they're kind of divided by different types of trees. So some areas, as we start to walk out towards the prairie, you'll see less and less redwoods and more Douglas fir and Sitka spruce around the prairie rather than redwoods. My mom and dad joining in. Hi, Mom and Dad. Thanks so much. So really quick, before I give it all away, you guys watching, why do you think that there's a prairie in the Redwoods? Why do you think that there's this big clearing in the middle of this massive forest? And we're just now starting to come out of the woods, so to speak, into the prairie here. Starting to open up a little bit. Braid, that's a great question. What was that beautiful little wildflower? I don't actually know off the top of my head. Maybe on my way back I can take a little bit more time to stop by it. We do have a lot more wildflowers growing here. All these little tiny guys, love these. These are called candy flowers. I do know that one. Beautiful. Back out towards the prairie. And there was a deer sitting right here by the entrance just a little while ago. So I'm gonna quiet down a little bit just in case we get a chance to see him. Mark's guessing the Native Americans, the indigenous people, help keeping these clearings going. It's a great guess, Mark. And again, you guys, as I'm working our way kind of out of where our service normally comes in, let me know if I start to break up at all. Incredible. The rain's starting to pick up again here. There's the deer. I'm going to zoom in and see if I can give you guys a good view of it. Right there. Yeah, awesome. And I'm not going to go too much closer because this deer has noticed me. And if wildlife notices you, it means you're getting a little close. Awesome. Griff hears some sparrows singing. You guys getting in some really good guesses about why prairies are here. Might also be able to hear the rain starting to pick back up again. Oh man, it's coming down. All right. So we're out here at Elk Prairie in Prairie Creek Redwood State Park, and the rain is just starting to really come down now. It figures as soon as I walk out of the forest, it starts really raining. A lot of you guys put in some really great guesses as to why prairies might exist within the redwoods. We've got indigenous people, Native Americans. We've got because prairie dogs are so adorable and should be everywhere. I agree, prairie dogs are absolutely adorable. Adorable. We love prairie dogs. Logging cleared it. It's a great guess as well, Sandra. An established living area, so no trees could grow. It's a great answer. Fire causing the prairies. Excellent. Flooding. All great guesses, you guys. All great guesses. And there is kind of numerous reasons that prairies exist. But up here in the redwoods, these prairies exist naturally, and a large part of that is because of fire. So prairies are really important habitat for a whole ton of different organisms, and fires happen naturally out here in the redwoods, and they're a really important part of this ecosystem, including maintaining these prairies. But beyond fire happening naturally, these prairies have been maintained since time immemorial, just as a few of you guessed, by the indigenous people. So indigenous communities would help to maintain the fire, so important for this natural ecosystem, by doing kind of low intensity burns out here in the prairies to help keep new saplings from growing and to keep this ecosystem healthy for the animals that live here, as well as it to be a good area for gathering and hunting and all kinds of things. Unfortunately, I don't have my umbrella with me, so I am doing my best to cover my phone. I might start heading back into the trees, although it is starting to lighten up a little bit here. That deer just being so patient, standing there. And that deer is a great example for us too, and that is another way that prairies are maintained. So this is such an important grazing area for a lot of the animals that live in the park. Predominantly deer and elk coming out here and grazing is also helping to keep the saplings down. Grass, once it's established, really helps to, oh, look at him go. Or her. Awesome. So deer, just like that one right there, and elk, which are also very commonly found in Elk Prairie here, Roosevelt elk. Grazing helps to keep down those saplings. They chew on the small plants growing as well as the grass and all kinds of things. We've got tons of fern growing in this field as well. And that helps to keep the big trees from growing. One of the problems now, though, is that some of the invasive species that have been brought into the area kind of start to encroach on some of these in areas around the Bald Hills, which is south of where I'm at now. Different invasive species and things like that can start to encroach. So that's another reason that parks and indigenous communities kind of do these prescribed burns. Help stop those invasive species from encroaching. Prairies exist naturally. I saw a good question here that, so if the prairies were left alone, they would not exist. And that is not 100% true. At this point, with what we've done, bringing in invasive species and things like that and causing kind of an imbalance with the ecosystem, prairies would eventually get encroached upon by the invasive species and some of the exotics that we've introduced. But historically, prairies existed naturally on their own, being maintained by natural fire and the animals as well. It's hard for us to say definitively if they do need some human engagement, even with this historical sense, because we don't know how long indigenous communities were kind of playing this role of helping to maintain these things. Since time immemorial, they've been a part of maintaining this landscape. So partially it does exist naturally, but has had some human interaction as well. But just incredibly beautiful views, being in this kind of valley of massive redwood trees, these beautiful prairies, all kinds of great plants growing out here. So I'm gonna start working my way back in, but if you guys have any questions about anything, go ahead and post them just in the comments there. One final look at this beautiful prairie. It is starting to I'm starting to get a little wet here with this rain. So I'm gonna head back into the forest and give you one last view going the other way on this trail. Absolutely beautiful. Excellent day out here. Love the rain in the redwoods. It's extra special. I'm really happy that it decided to rain today and get to show you guys that. What a treat today. We get rain and we get deer. How lucky is it that we have a live animal on our live stream? And it just so happened to be out there before I started and stayed there long enough for me to go and zoom in. Karen asked if we can give a difference between prairies and meadows. And Karen, I am so sorry, but I cannot give a definitive answer to that. Let me do a little bit of research and I'll comment back on that later, because that is a really good question. I'm so happy to get to show you guys these redwood forests out in the rain. It's excellent. It's beautiful. Would prairies shift in location if not helped with maintenance? So yeah, if prairies were not helped with maintenance as they are now, they would eventually, in most places, cease to exist, because invasive species and exotics do kind of start to encroach on those ecosystems. Particularly Douglas fir play kind of a big role as those trees start to grow. They'll shade out the grasses, and once the grasses are dead, that really opens it up for the ecosystem to be completely changed, because the grasses are kind of taking up the existing substrate, the existing space, the existing nutrients. That's stopping a lot of plants from growing there that would otherwise. So when those Douglas fir or other kind of tree species start to come in, they can shade out those grasslands. And where this kind of happens naturally is you have these prairies, and then you have kind of oak woodland around the fringes of that. And then that goes into the denser forests. So I will come back and answer that question, because that is a great question about the difference between meadows and prairies. Taking a guess, I would think that it has something to do with size and location, but I'm going to do a little bit more research before I answer that definitively. I really appreciate you guys all tuning in. Again, just to prove how important fire is in these ecosystems, we do have a couple of burnt up trees around here. You can see that fire has come here, and some of the trees that have been singed and burned are still in their full size. Sorry, it's starting to rain really hard again out here. It's awesome. I love the rainy days in the redwoods. It's extra special. So again, some of these trees, even though they've been through potentially major fires and have quite a bit of burn scars and things like that, they are still able to grow. And this tree that we do our broadcast from right over here is a great example of that. I'm gonna walk over and see if I can give you a little bit better of a view. We did have a good question as well from Melanie that are we seeing more wildlife with fewer people there? And that's a good question. Throughout our parks, it does seem like we are generally seeing some more wildlife, and that the wildlife is kind of out in some more areas that would normally be dominated with people. So for instance, the elk here at Prairie Creek are really enjoying the campsites right now. They've been wandering around the campgrounds and grazing around there, which is an area that they're not normally in because it's so full of people. Karen, thanks for your input. I've seen several different distinctions on which often conflict on what is a meadow versus what is a prairie. I appreciate you doing a little research for me there. Excellent questions, you guys. Thanks for filling those in, you guys. I really appreciate that. That saves me some research time, and I'm really interested to read your responses too on the difference between meadows and prairies. It's really interesting. I just wanted to end with this massive tree here. Look at this epic fire scar on this. Some trees are almost like completely burned out, but they can heal from that. And this tree, as you can see from its crown, is still alive. So this tree is likely over, you know, somewhere around 1,000 years old, maybe older than that. It's definitely experienced some major fire. You can see here towards its base, it's super epic fire scars going on. But up towards the top of the tree, you can see this is totally living and totally healthy. Great canopy up there. And surviving a really important part of this ecosystem, the fire. And with that, I want to thank you guys all so much for joining today. I really appreciate you all tuning into these 3 o'clock live streams. We love doing them for you, and really, really appreciate seeing you guys enjoying them. See our last question here. Any word on when the campgrounds will open? We don't have any word at this moment on when we are reopening. We're kind of monitoring very closely people's interactions within the park and following CDC guidelines and everything coming out of Washington. So it's a fluid situation. We want to get you back out in these parks, but it's really important to be taking care of the safety of our visitors as well. So we will be opening as soon as we can. Keep an eye on our social media, or you can also go to parks.ca.gov/flattenthecurve for all of our official news there. So again, thank you guys all so much for joining. Really appreciate you being here. Really appreciate you tuning in. You are all so awesome. We appreciate you. We've got these live streams at 3 o'clock every day, so if you're ever looking for a little taste of the parks in your home, come on in and see what you can't learn from a different interpreter. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We appreciate it, and hopefully we'll be seeing you on our live streams soon.